Well, welcome to the show, Wave On. I'm so glad to be here with episode 43. We've got Hedi and Bill from Nocqua Gear, and I loved talking to them. I could have talked to them forever. They were so inspirational with their brand, their message, driving a business, and connecting with other people. So it's like bridging the gap between, well, it's water world people, but everybody between fishing, paddleboarding, kayaking, and they're sort of bringing all the communities together, and they're learning about SUP. I'm learning about fishing and using lights for fishing. So how cool is that? And I like I said, we could have talked forever. And the brand, the lights, I've been using them on my paddleboard. I had them out later in the season. And they're just so fun to have on the board and see down below, and they change colors and do all this fun stuff. I just have a strong appreciation for the design. Someone with a design background. I mean, I went to product design school, CCS, and I love the functionality. And then talking both to Hedi and Bill, they're just respect and dedication that they have for their business. So I'm so thankful that they shared behind the scenes, even some of the struggles or just things in the industry right now that is going through, but also a lot of positive as well, because so many people are wanting to be on the water. And I love that, and I'm sure they love that. And they even said loved seeing people using their product, and how cool they have glow-in-the-dark stickers. That's awesome. I love it. And so anyway, sharing them on the podcast, Wave On here. I'm Misty, the host, and I talked to Hedi and Bill in North Carolina, so I get to scratch them off the mat behind me as one of my spots. We're still doing indoor SUP workshops, learning about paddle stroke techniques, stance, hand-foot placement, just moving with the board and eliminating that fear of the water and just really honing in on your skills. So we got one more December 19th, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And actually, I am offering it virtually now. So we did it this past week. It worked out great. So if you got a setup at home and you can tune in virtually, I'd love to have you. And that would be just another awesome way to be able to connect more than just within the surrounding community here in Sylvan Lake, Michigan. So let's dive into the podcast. Let's get into episode 43. Let's go. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here, you guys, Billy and Hedi. And I'm going to let you say that how you actually pronounce the name of your brand, because I think I'm butchering it.
So it's well, thank you very much for having us. It's pronounced Nocqua Adventure Gear, and we came up with that when we initially launched the lighting system. We knew we were going to be making products that were used at night, so nocturnal, and then around the water and aqua, and we wanted to smash those two together and have something that was unique, and it would help build the brand over the long term. So it seemed a little odd at first, but over the years, it's worked out pretty well.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect, because I've just seen it in writing, and I'm like, well, I haven't heard anybody really say the name, and I'm like, I think I'm saying it wrong, but I'm like, no, this is perfect. You guys say it, so I don't butcher it. And now I know the meaning behind it, so that's awesome.
When we're at trade shows, we hear every pronunciation possible. So we just try to stick with what we're comfortable with.
Yeah.
But
we just go with it, whatever whatever anybody says. We're like, all right.
Well, I'm excited. Well, not only just to have you on the podcast, but even just meet you, because just emailing back and forth a little bit and getting my own light system back when I thought maybe I bought it too late in the year to even use it. It turns out, no, I used it a bunch of times before the season actually ended. But you guys sound like a really fun crew here.
We try. I mean, when you're doing things that are water related, water sports related, and people that share that in common, and you're introducing something really new, like a lighting system, a reason to go out at night and explore and share those experiences with other people, it makes for, I mean, it's still work. but it's a lot of fun to connect with people that, have that same passion about being around the water.
Sure, you're right. And you guys have been doing this for a while now. This is pretty established brand, it sounds like.
Yeah, I want to say I started testing prototypes back in 2011, and we fine-tuned that in 2012, launched the company late 2012, and really hit the market in trade shows in 13. So I can't believe it's been that long. Yeah.
It's been pretty cool. And I've only been with the Nocqua team for a year. It'll be a year this November. And it's just amazing to see how even in a year, I mean, it just keeps growing. And it's pretty cool to see the customers and to actually talk to them from around the world. I just got off the phone with the customer in Puerto Rico, and who's interested in our lighting systems. And so it's, we have customers around the world. So it's pretty neat.
Well, when I saw the product guide, I thought, wow, this is more than just, because obviously I was attracted by the whole paddleboard lights underneath the boards. And then I noticed you've got like a whole line of other things, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost seems like maybe you catered to fishing gear first.
Yeah, we launched the lighting system was the first product, and being a small company and new, and you have to adapt and be able to pivot. I looked at what are other markets that primarily our power and our lights we could potentially move into another category, staying within water sports, and it ended up being kayak fishing. That our battery is a very good solution for any kayaker that's using electronics on their kayak for whether it's a GPS unit or a fish finder. It was just something that was a really small solution that works really well, and it ended up being probably 60 to 70% of our company now is catering to the kayak fishing market, and then a bunch of different accessories that go with it. So it's been a lot of fun to the difference in trade shows of a water sports show with paddleboards versus a kayak fishing convention or trade show.
And just trying to blend those two together has been a little bit, I want to say a challenge. It's been interesting because, I talked to two different customers all day long, and just trying to blend those two. And I think with our pro staff team that we put together this year, I think we're going to see that more and more, because our kayak fishermen are now, we already have a couple that are, out there using our lights on their kayaks to fish with, because the fish are so attracted to the white and green lights. But just kind of blending those two together a little more, I think we're going to see that.
Definitely
happening.
I was going to ask that. Now, the fish, are they attracted to, like you were just saying, the light? There's something that they're attracted to?
Yeah, it's really the frequency that's in a light. With LED lights, there are different frequencies for different colors. And what happens is you might get a type of plankton that's attracted to a green light that'll attract minnows or smaller fish to start feeding on that. And then in turn, you'll get bigger fish, and it kind of starts this whole cycle. Or they're just attracted to it because of that frequency. So as you travel with the lights, we'll see different types of fish in the Florida Keys versus a lake. And, for example, when I was developing the lights, I found that lobsters were attracted to the lights on our paddleboards, and we could go out and catch lobsters right off the board at night. And it was pretty amazing. And it's legal to do it as long as you have a permit. But, that seeing things like that was something I never would have guessed that could happen.
What am I going to see with my paddleboard and lights in the lake?
It's interesting. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Paddling in Key West a few weeks ago. Even the sharks that swim under the board, and, of course he dives in and, catches the lobsters and puts them in my kayak while we're paddling. But even in the lakes here, we have freshwater lakes, and the striper, the bass that come out at night, and the catfish are gigantic. It's a little unsettling because during the day, our water is not crystal clear. So, we can't usually see our toes, and I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. This is swimming beneath me. 4 foot long catfish,
I imagine, if I was to go out like on a calm night now or in the spring, maybe, because the boats kick up so much, like, the sand and everything, the muck or whatever. It's because it's a clear lake, but it's not so clear so much in the summer with all the boat traffic and everything. Maybe I would see something kind of crazy. I don't know.
Oh, I guarantee you will. And if you stay within an area, I think that you can see the bottom. So that obviously depends
Yeah.
on our lake's the same way. When it gets really warm, you even get plankton and algae that'll kind of take some away the clarity versus the wintertime. But when you can see the bottom and you're around some docks and things like that, I think you'll be pretty surprised at what might go swimming by. And I personally love it. I think it makes it really interesting.
No, I would be super curious.
Yeah, especially down in the Keys when you're sitting in those crystal clear kayaks. That's a little bit, I feel safer in those. I feel like, when I'm under a bridge and a nurse shark is like swimming past, but it's an experience for sure. Definitely takes your paddle experience to another level. And
Yeah,
I showed him your witch paddle pictures, which were awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a lot of fun and completely unexpected that it was. Well, first of all, that we did it so many different times and different people came out and wanted to keep going, and just playing, like not in a hurry to get back off of the boards at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always thought a fun event could be where it's almost a scavenger hunt. You're in an area that you can see the bottom, and you could kind of go out and pre-plant some things beforehand and have a scavenger hunt at night using the lights, and could make it, a fun little evening for a group of people.
Yeah. Wow. That would be amazing. It would be a hidden treasure chest or something kind of crazy like that. Wow. That's amazing.
If they see some garbage along the way, you can pick that up as well.
That's always a little bit of a thing too. Yeah. It's almost like, here's your lights, a grabber, and maybe a bucket or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to go out in our cove and collect trash, and it's sad to see how much we can collect. Garbage bags full in our little cove, and we live on a pretty big lake here in the Charlotte area, but we try to do our part as much as possible in the water.
What lake are you on?
Lake Norman.
Okay.
So it's just north of Charlotte, roughly 550 miles of shoreline. So it's a big lake.
NASCAR.
Yep.
Right down the road. And the Panthers. Go Panthers.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. How cool. Yeah, so the lights, well, my experience when I took everyone out, they had no idea that I really had those attached on, because I just had my set, and I was getting everybody ready, took them out on the water and everything, and we started like at sunset, and then later I was like, guys, check this out, and like I turned them on, and they're like, whoa, where'd you get that from? Like, where'd that come from? But I love it because they're rechargeable, and the batteries seem to last actually a pretty long time. So
it's a very efficient power pack. And we even have accessories like a USB. So if you wanted to just take that battery and say you go camping and you want to use it to charge your phone or a GoPro or an iPad or something like that, you can just use that same battery for a variety of things.
Yeah. Wow.
Direct plug and play. So in the wintertime, the off season, when you're not using it, it's good to keep that battery charged and discharged, and use it to charge your phone, or I don't know if you use a GoPro. A lot of our our tour guides are using drones now, and in fact, one of our tour guides in Japan just sent me pictures. There was a wedding on they're paddling with our lights and got married using our lights. So I'm gonna share those pictures this week, but it's pretty amazing. She's in her wedding dress and everything at night. It's pretty awesome.
Oh my gosh, how cool is that? Yeah, the whole drone thing, like. Yeah, I have a friend that he's really and from his paddleboard doing all these shots and stuff, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a unique perspective you can get. And when I was even looking at some of your photos on Instagram with the inflatable kind of the base station for where all the sups pull in or park, all of that, like from an overhead drone. And maybe even illuminating just the base part of that at night would be a pretty unique shot.
Yeah, actually. So one of the things here in the summer is it gets dark at around 9:30. and that's like
Oh, wow. Yeah.
pretty late.
Yeah.
It's like,
So I'm and maybe you guys can pop in here and like, I don't know, we're brainstorming or something, but I'm like, wow, that it's a late one. So I don't know what it is, if it's a Friday night or Saturday night or something, but yeah, have the pod and have the lights like underneath them or whatever. And, do something fun. Like, I don't know, floating. I did a floating meditation thing like on Monday nights, but it would be cool like to have like the candles or something like lit even too, and just, I don't know, the sky's the limit, right?
Even the little tea light LED, so in case somebody knocks something over, it's not going to burn a hole into the sup.
Right.
But yeah, even the little tea lights. And I've even seen some tour operators where they've gone indoors, just because of the cold weather and, light in the wintertime, that they've worked with some aquatic centers and try to find nights that they haven't been traditionally busy. And then they'll book those nights to do sup in their pools with inflatables and still use lights, like use the lights on the board. So they shut everything off inside and the whole pool's illuminated and looks pretty cool.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Have to work on that.
We hear a lot, over the years of ways people use the systems or even just paddling and yoga in general. So it's always fun to hear that and see people trying different things to keep them busy.
Yeah, it was cool getting connected with the Sup Yoga Challenge in September, which was awesome because I would like to reach more of a yoga community with our not only our lighting systems, but we have a couple of Sup ambassadors right now, Mike Winkles and Blake Oates, and they're both Sup pros and diving pros and kiteboarding pros. But the majority of our pro staff is more the kayak fishing side, and just kind of moving in that direction, I think could be awesome.
Yeah, definitely a lot of area to grow, and it's growing so much. I mean, and technically here, it's still like on the brink of really growing. I always joke that we're still teaching people what SUP stands for. And, because it's not is heavily dominated, say, like in California or on the East Coast, even Florida. But people just kept coming out. And like I said, even, with the whole just the witch idea paddle, they wanted more of it. So
yeah, great.
I know for me, like that's the longest season I've had. And even some still asking, do you think maybe we could get another paddle in? I'm like, well, you never know. But, it is dwindling down for sure, when we start getting the cool temps, but
yeah, could even lead to sup retreats. We know quite a few yoga instructors that put together retreats in warmer climates, and they'll take their local crew and go somewhere new and experience that, and you extend your winter year round or your summer months year round.
Most definitely. I have to work on that one next.
Because bundling up in a big jacket and doing yoga, it seems a little tough on a board of water. We went paddling in January this past year or last year, and I was barefoot, so it was pretty chilly, but I was super bundled and paddling. Yeah. But with the lights, it was still cool, but my toes were frozen by the time we got back.
Was that in North Carolina too?
Mm-hmm. Was it? Okay. And I think I would say it was probably 48 degrees. It doesn't get that bad here. I mean, we might have a couple, maybe one or two little snow days, just the dusting. One day you're wearing flip flops, the next day snow boots. The weather here is unpredictable.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's been like that for a while here too. It goes unpredictable. Even the later paddles, like the sun was blazing, you're a little bit warmer. And then toward the end, when you're on your way back, it was like, okay, put on what I brought, either long sleeves or maybe, waterproof socks or any of that kind of thing, just to make it back a little more bearable. But
the humidity pretty bad. Well, the first time I went to Michigan was a couple years ago. I went to Holland, near Holland, Michigan, and it was humid. But then they say, October comes and snow flurries.
Yeah, that's pretty much
really not a transition period.
No, not really at all. Not at all. I mean, and the funny thing part, or at least this year, the humidity, it kind of stuck around for a little while, like beginning of October, I believe. And then we had some rainy days, but it was humid though. That with all that rain, it was still like 85, percent humidity at least.
That's
Yeah.
And August can be super crazy with all the humidity.
Yeah. Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be a while before you have to deal with that again. So
I know, right? Now clearly it is November and starting with snow flurries a little bit today. I was like, ooh, here we go. So yeah, if I'm not on the water, then I guess I'm just talking about it.
Yeah. So in the off season, are you still teaching? Do you do indoor yoga?
Yeah, what I do, actually, I teach indoor yoga, and then I'll do workshops with the boards. So like once a month, I'll have them inside, break down either paddle technique. I can kind of look at people a little bit more like in front of me and help them out, especially if they've been with me for a while or been out all summer. The other part was I did have them in a pool a couple years ago, so that who knows, maybe that'll come back in the beginning of the year or something like that, and get the boards in that way. So currently just doing off season, like brainstorm about website. Okay, what can we improve and this and that, and yeah, keep things moving as far. I mean, it'll be smaller, of course. It's not like it's hard when you introduce them to the water and they're like, I just want to do water.
Yeah.
So I get it. It's a thing.
Oh yeah, we love to be around the water. It's our therapy for sure. I mean, summertime we're on the boat or surfing. Surfing behind the boat.
Oh, cool.
He's done water sports for most of your life, pretty much.
Yeah.
So he's
My parents had me skiing when I was 5 or water skiing, and kind of never looked back and spent a good part of my life and competing in different water sports.
Oh, wow.
So it was paddling was a nice extension of that.
So you're kind of like, a big deal with like the whole behind the boat skiing.
I spent a good part of my life, turned pro when I was like 19, 20, and was competing primarily in kneeboarding at that time. And there was a pro tour involved with it. So we would travel around and try to hone in our tricks and just do that whole lifestyle. And I accomplished most of my goals there and switched to a hydrofoil. And that's you sit this style was, people know it as an air chair or a sky ski, and you're sitting, you're strapped into it, and then you ride it behind the boat with a handle, and you can do flips that are just really high, 20 plus feet in the air. And that was it was fun to have a new toy, to ride. And I started competing on that for about 10 years as well. So
Wow.
It made for a lot of fun. And one of the cool things was back in 2006, Guinness World Records was going to be here on Lake Norman for the largest raft up, the most people tied up to one rope for a big party. And I contacted Guinness about setting a new world record for the height, like the highest flip on a hydrofoil.
Really?
And we set that up for that event. And so I was able to break that record during the event and get into the book. And that was a nice little icing on the cake.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. How long ago was that?
The record was set in 2006, came out in the 2007 book, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then just kept riding for fun afterwards. I still like to get out there. I might not go as high as I used to just because the crashes are pretty brutal. But there's quite a few other things, whether it's surfing, wake surfing, things like that to do behind the boat.
Yeah. So how would you rank the kneeboarding from which one is easiest to the hardest with the hydrofoil and wake surfing and all of that?
Ooh. The hydrofoil was probably more difficult because you're you're not on a board that's edging on the water. You're flying a wing that's 3.5 feet below you, and it's very sensitive. So you had to land the right way, you had to take off, the right way. And if something went wrong, when you're 20 feet up in the air and going 100 feet in distance, there's those crashes where, they could knock you out.
Yeah.
So, it was a little tricky when you would say, hey, I want to learn this new trick, and realize kind of what it was going to take to get there.
Wow. How did you get started with that?
Sorry, I had to take a toy away from our dog. She was going crazy with it.
I get it.
I was shaking the table.
Yeah. Just as an extension from kneeboarding, where you spend so much time riding one thing and training, that it was fun to introduce a new sport, a new toy behind the boat, just to ride, to break up those days of training. And then slowly that went from, I just want to ride it, to how do you do a flip on this thing? Or how do we, do a 360 in the air? And then I found I was putting the kneeboard away and only bringing the hydrofoil out. So it's
I gotta imagine that you're out there doing this and other people are looking, what in the world is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The police boat will stop sometimes, and they'll just stop out there. And then after he's done, because I'm usually the one pulling in at a really fast speed, and then they'll want to come over and talk to him and ask him all about it. And it's one of those sports where you have to be careful and safe while you're doing it. The driver needs to be focused, and because you're going, 22, 23 miles per hour.
Yeah, the boat's going that fast. And then if you're cutting on a foil, you're probably up around 45 to 50 miles an hour. So it's things happen really fast, but it's still fun.
I will not try it. He taught me how to surf, and he's taught my children how to surf behind the boat, and that's a lot of fun because you're going 11 miles an hour behind the boat and carving it out of the wake. That's a lot of fun. Have you ever tried wake surfing?
Yeah, I like wake surfing. Wakeboarding, we're not friends. I'm not friends with that. Wake surfing I can handle. The foil really. I've heard about it and seen it for a while now, but I just started seeing it out on our lake like the end of last season, and then some guys out there this season doing the electric ones, like standing.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. I saw a couple times. Two of them were weaving back and forth, like crossing right in the middle of the lake in front of each other, like at sunset. I was just like, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, those are the Efoils have come a long way, and I had my first chance to ride one about a month ago in Key West.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I immediately knew we had to have, you can't just buy one, you're going to have two so we can go out. So that just doubled the cost of this adventure. And but we reached out to Liftfoil just because we've seen a lot of people do this with our lights, but they're attaching our lighting systems to the bottom of the Efoils and then going out at night. And it's really more for a marketing piece or just a cool piece of content. Mm-hmm. But we're going to have our Efoils are going to be set up to receive Nocqua Lights with a kind of a thumb screw type modification to it. So I think we'll be able to showcase some cool stuff this next year.
Yeah, 2022 is going to be fun.
That's amazing. We haven't done it much, but I have seen where people are trying to wake surf and have the lights like from the boat pointed down at them at night. So it actually, that was going to be my next question was, do you do that already with your lighting system, or is that?
We do. So it's more of all custom projects where we'll have one of our ambassador or our team members, let's say Blake, that's a pro kiteboarder, asked if we could put a lighting system into the bottom of his kiteboard. And It was just a custom thing. He'll send a board here. We'll figure out how to do it. And he'll just go out and get some amazing images. It's probably something that we would never do it on a mass production level.
Okay.
But for those, few photos or videos you get, it's pretty impressive. Mm-hmm. And we made a wake surfing board with a light bar embedded into the bottom that could change colors, and it illuminates the whole wake. So you wouldn't use any of the lights off the boat.
Yeah.
It would just purely be the board illuminating that wave and the water when it sprays off the wave and all that stuff. It was a lot of fun.
Wow. I'm like picturing this out on our lake.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I've seen the water you paddle in too, and it's beautiful. It's really, it's clear, and you've got a beautiful lake.
Yeah, thank you. It is. I totally agree. It's a special thing within this area, and try not to take for granted what you got. Definitely always trying to clean up stuff, like you just said. And also, I mean, I care about it, but it also shows in front of somebody else, to pick up trash. And I started more of that this season, partly because of the podcast and meeting other paddleboarders and just people that are doing a nonprofit as far as cleaning up like Great Lakes even. And so I would document it and like talk about it with the group that's out or whatever. And before I know it, like more we're talking about, hey, look what I picked up and stuff. So it was kind of setting a good example, which, I'm not trying to do like a pat on the back kind of thing, but it was just nice to see that there was like a trickle effect. And then we did like a lake cleanup kind of thing and, being a little bit more of a bigger adventure.
Yeah, that's great. And, think of all the people that you're inspiring to do the same when they go out and hopefully that gets passed along. And at the end of the day, it does make a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. It's part of the whole just like water lifestyle, and I mean, like you already mentioned it yourself, and just it's super cool. Water,
Oh, yeah.
Animals and stuff. And
Yeah. We take my kids when we go on our trash pickups, and they think of it as a treasure hunt because my son, I mean, he found an iPhone even though it wasn't working. He thought that was cool, an iPhone, a hat, one flip-flop.
Yeah, just a bunch of
ropes.
Random stuff. But, when you come back and even the people see at the dock, when they see you go by or come back with all of this garbage that, might inspire them to, even if they're out on their boat or something like that, to just make sure they clean up and don't throw anything in the lake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. It's like you're not trying to look down really, but I always found myself kind of scanning a little bit from side to side. And at one point through one of our canals, had a couple of ladies with me, so a smaller group. And I just kind of cut my head over to the side and I saw this flipping and floundering around, and it was a fish caught in the landscape netting. He had part of it down his mouth, and so I didn't have to touch him. I just grabbed part of the netting, and I was just glad that I didn't really hurt him. I pulled the netting and then he swam right out. But it was like down his throat. It was coming out that way. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then the woman was sitting there going, "Oh my God, I can't believe I just watched this." She's like, "How amazing." And I was like, "Well, I've never done that before. She's like, "How did you even see it?" And I'm like, "Well, I just learned to kind of start scanning like from side to side." And
probably become a little aware too of being out there on the water, the different sounds and what's right and what's not right. And
yeah, that's true too, because I go through that spot almost every day.
yeah.
That's what you'll see at night a lot, is when you let your vision kind of relax and you're not really looking for something, but the things that are out of the norm, movement, a darker color moving around, or just something that seems a little out of place was when I found, I'll spot the kind of rare things that are out there. When I'm staring at it, or trying to find something, it's a little more difficult.
Yeah, right. I can see though that some people might think that that's a little scary.
I always told it, well, on a lake, you're really not going to run into anything that's going to be too scary. But, down in especially the Keys, when you have all of this marine life and you're going across some deep canals. So you have these channels, and that's where the big stuff is. And I always thought if it freaked me out too much, I'll just turn the lights off and just then, you can't see anything.
Disappear.
And I'll get back to where I feel like it's safe and then turn it back on.
Yeah. That's why I
Wow.
felt a little more comfortable in the kayak in Key West versus being on the paddleboard at night.
Do you have them, is it a hardboard that you're using or an inflatable with the lights?
Both. It just kind of depends on the
Okay.
situation. I've probably at our place on the lake, we have hardboards that are very accessible. So it's easy to just put the lights on. And for a while, we worked with Pauhana Surf Supply, and they were putting inserts into the bottom of their boards so you could take the harness system off the lighting setup, the light bars, and the end caps have holes in them, and you could just thumb screw the lights right onto the bottom of the board, and it would take a minute to put the whole lighting system on or off. And so a few of our boards are set up like that now. And then when we travel, we take inflatables just because they've come so far. And once you get the PSI right, they're perfect.
Yeah. And I have to appreciate that because I use mainly inflatables, and mine are pretty thick because I've gone with a fleet that are very stable and sturdy for newbies and yoga and stuff. So they're about 6 inches like thick. So when I got the light system and I was wrapping it around, I'm like, oh, good, this adjusts. So it was, it would let go to fit around the whole board.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it clasps together. So I was like, oh, good. This is like, at first I was like, oh, how's this going to work? I didn't even think of this, that, thin board or a hard board's a little thinner than, some of the inflatables.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most difficult. It seems easy now looking at it, the harness system, but when I was working on different ways of a lighting system to be really versatile to fit any board or any kayak or canoes or anything like that, it took a while to come up with an adjustable harness system that was going to do all of that and kind of fit all of those needs. Because if you get really specific, there were other ways to attach the lights to a board, but we wanted something that was just kind of all purpose.
Yeah. So the light system that I have it would go on a kayak as well.
Mm-hmm. So your light bars on the harness can move through that strap, so you could have really any width that you wanted to on the lights. And then we include extension straps that come with it if you need to make that harness system a little bit bigger. And then you could just kind of come up with a way to whether the straps go across the canoe or they hook onto handles that are on the inside. You can get pretty creative on that part. But we've seen those lights attached to everything.
Okay.
Paddle boats,
nice.
outrigger canoes, and all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah. Cool.
The customers with the clear bottom kayaks, they're just taking the light bars and laying them on the floor of the kayak and, bypassing the harness system. And then they're in the kayak and they're attaching the battery behind the seat. The options are unlimited. I feel like one of our pro staff members, Mike Winkles, our older model lights were a little smaller in length. The sports, and they were the perfect size for a one wheel. Have you ever gone one wheeling before?
I've seen them. I have not done it. No.
I can't do it. I'm terrible at it, but he has one too. But Mike attached our light bars to the one wheel. So for Halloween, he was riding around his neighborhood with our lights attached to his one wheel.
Wow.
Send him some videos. Like, wow. So it's pretty cool.
So you can go as small as the one wheel. I'm not sure the dimension of that, but I'm imagining it's really small compared to then a kayak or the paddle boards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a lighting system out a few years ago called Sport, and Sport was about half the length of traditional what you have, the Spectrum P2 system. Mm-hmm. And we did it as a price point concept, just to see if a lower price point and how that would work. But we found that most people wanted as much light as possible. They wanted it as bright as possible. So we found that coming up with that 37-inch length was really the best. And so we discontinued the Sport, but at least there's a few out there and people are trying to do some fun stuff with them.
Yeah.
Do you have any cool things on the horizon? Anything that you could disclose?
Always. We all like the idea my whiteboards are full of projects and concepts, and really what we're working on right now is getting through what is realistic that we could launch next year on a product level, whether it's for kayak fishing or for paddling, and kind of honing that down to, all right, out of those 5, which ones are we going to go with right away? But I don't think a year has gone by that we haven't introduced at least 2 to 3 new products every year. So
wow. So I'm imagining this space that you have, like you're like the tinker area where, okay, we're testing. This was an idea, and you probably went on some adventure that you sparked that imagination going with something else. And
yeah, exactly. I'm always taking notes and adding things to the sketchbook of what what could be. It may not be. I've had projects that didn't come to life for 5 years after I thought about what it was going to be. It wasn't the right time.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to at least have a lot to dig into, and it keeps us innovating and keeps it fun.
That's awesome. Did you go to an art school by chance, or a design school? Did product design or
no
industrial
I wish
design?
The school of Google. No. It was actually from back in my water sports career as a sponsored athlete. I was developing products for boat companies and refining board shapes and doing all of that for other companies. And over time, I just started to think I'd like to do this for myself. And, it took a long time. It's easy to say, you get a lot of people that have ideas, but to actually get one through to production and selling it and see if it can be profitable. Actually, my first big one was the float for GoPro cameras. If you ever see that foam back door that goes onto the back of those cameras, that was
very familiar with that.
That was my product.
Really? That's awesome. Yeah. So how did that come about? You're testing something out. You had probably a camera or whatever.
Yeah, I had a small video business in Hawaii, in Oahu, for a while, and we were using GoPros exclusively, and GoPro was pretty new at the time, so they really didn't have too many accessories, and the mounts were breaking on the surfboards, or somebody else would collide with the board and then the camera's gone. So I was taking just foam chunks and taping it to the back of the camera, and at that particular time I met a patent attorney on the beach one day, and we started talking about, she was like, so what's that thing, you have taped to the back of there? And so we started talking about it and wrote the provisional, and then slowly went after the full patent, and I launched the product line, and they sold really well. And it was a good Kickstarter or motivator to want to do it again with other, additional products.
Wow. That's amazing. That's I wasn't expecting to hear that one. That's awesome. So you lived in Hawaii for some time?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah. In Oahu, my mother was raised on Oahu, and I had some relatives out there, so we would visit every couple of years growing up. But after a stint in Key West, I was ready to continue island life, but I wanted to try somewhere else. And Oahu came up, and went out there for about a year and a half, and it was a lot of fun.
That's amazing. So yeah, it's like the sport, the water industry is like really just like driven.
Oh yeah.
Deep.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I hope to have that, be surrounded by that for the rest of my life, and pass it on to other people too,
Right. Yeah. That is the fun part. Introducing to other people, and like I said earlier, where if you were telling them about, or I'm just imagining if I was telling a paddleboard group or something, like what you might see down below, and they'd be like, oh no.
Take me back to shore.
Some, maybe not all, but you just, I think I've heard, or I've been exposed to many excuses, not about lighting, but just like, getting on a board even, and what you have to really do as far as encouragement goes. So, yeah, I'm just the imagination is like me. I'm like, well, that sounds like amazing. But I will tell you, there was a strange thing that happened back like toward the end of the season. A geyser out of the water started shooting up, and I saw a video of it, but it's like off the shore in the back part of the lake. That's probably about the best I can describe it for, not actually looking at it. And people asked me, did you see that? I said, yes, I saw it online that from a pontoon boat, someone was videoing it, And I thought that would be the scariest thing to see on this lake. If I was paddling and I saw that, I'd be like, what do? I go back the other way? What's happening? Yeah. What's causing this geyser? I don't know. Ugh.
Yeah, I have never heard of anything like that happening on a lake.
Yeah, is there like a fault line or something?
I'm not sure. I don't even know if there is like an actual answer for it. Some have just said some sort of sewer line or something that was like causing an air bubble or something. I don't know.
That's crazy. Yeah, that would be a little terrifying, I would say.
Yeah, to go paddling across that thing, like right through with a big group and
No, yeah, I can handle the smaller catfish in our lake, but even one of our customers sent us a video. I don't know if you saw it, where he was paddling in Florida and a manatee swam out and launched his kayak, the front of his kayak, up in the air. And usually they're not really aggressive creatures. They're really docile, but when they're startled, they will rise up. And his kayak almost flipped, but he kept it together and kept paddling.
Wow.
And the manatee could be, 2 feet longer than your board and probably 600 pounds. So those things are, they're big.
I have a friend that's going to go in Florida and do this on the hot springs. She told me all about it. Yeah. So she says the hot springs attracts them because if the water starts to get too cool, they'll go there. Well, she plans to paddleboard there. I'm like, okay. I've never done that, but
I got a group of people together and we went and did it at night one time.
Yeah.
So we were all lit up, and then these huge manatee would just come right underneath the board and just track with it. So we were barely even paddling, and then this huge manatee was just staying with you underneath the whole thing. It was scary and exhilarating at the same time.
Right. Is there a color that they like particularly?
I wondered about that, but I also thought they were pretty docile with the color it was on, and I didn't want to take a chance of like having one color be something that would, cause outrage or a massive underwater stampede. So I just left it on the bright white.
Bright white, okay. Bright white, you can see like the most, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much that, and the aqua. It's similar to it. It just kind of depends on the water, but the bright white it's always the best.
Bright white's the best, and then would you say maybe like the blue is the most calming?
Yeah.
So if you're like, I need something calming, go to blue.
Yeah.
I don't want this underwater stampede.
Yeah.
No way.
That's probably one where I would have turned them off.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right too. Remember, turn off. Okay. And what's Catfish attracted to?
I would say the green. Michael Geyser, he's also one of our kayak fishermen, and he uses our lights in his kayak and says, like he said, the green travels the furthest underwater, the wavelength. And so it just, for some reason, attracts more of the bigger fish in, just because the light waves underwater go further than any of the other colors. So that's what I've heard. And I would say for doing it ourselves out on the water at night. I mean,
yeah, you'll see. I don't know if it's like that in your area, but people will put underwater lights near their docks, and it'll attract fish. And typically, those are green. So it's something. Yeah, and that's saltwater or freshwater. So
yeah, in Key West, he has a big green light at the end of the dock, and the tarpon are huge. Yeah, so if you ever get the chance to go down to Key West and paddle at night and through the mangrove tunnels, it's out of this world.
We'll hook you up with some tour operators to do it with.
The best guides down there. They're awesome.
Cool. And you know what? And I've never even been there before. So this would be totally new like perspective for me to go there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should do a little you should do a yoga retreat down there too. Take a group. It's one of our favorite places in the world. So.
And probably like the best time for us would be February or March.
Yeah.
And that's the best time of the year down there, right? March is like
yeah, it's still, you know, upper 70s, low 80s. The wind is down. So you'll get lots of calm water and it's crystal clear and lots of marine life.
That sounds amazing already. I'm already ready to go. Oh, you guys are amazing. I love this. I love this, like, you know, diehard passion here, going out to a lot of expos and stuff like that and introducing people. It's amazing. And I mean, you're across the platform with between fishing to paddleboarding. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really fun to the contrast, but everybody shares that same passion of wanting to be out on the water, you know, for different reasons. And it makes it pretty unique to go to these shows and be part of it, and have those communities being so diverse, but we can still be right in the middle of everything.
You probably have experienced the Surf Expo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of our, I think that was our first trade show ever. And I had 2 sets of prototypes from our factory. I didn't have a booth, but a buddy of mine had a booth, and it's completely against trade show rules to share a booth with, you know, let another company come in and take some of your space.
Yeah.
But he gave me one paddleboard. We put our lights on it, and I have 4 business partners, and the goal was to see what the reaction was going to be like from the crowd, because no one had ever seen lights underneath the paddleboard before. And I knew that inviting my investors was going to be a make or break deal, because it could be people going, this is the craziest idea we've ever heard. We're never going to buy those things. And we ended up having a really successful event. And it was like the Kickstarter, you know, to get the whole thing going.
Yeah. Wow. So then that was kind of like your starting point.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. It was enough to like say, oh, this could be a business. You know, we could invest in the tooling and the production items needed to make those systems. So it was, I was a nervous wreck though.
And now we can't keep them in stock. We just had to pull them off the website yesterday because they're even this time of year, it's not slowing down with the lights. So we're taking pre-orders now. I mean, I think the past few days, like 5 different tour guides and tropical locations that have put their pre-order in. And
yeah. Is the whole shipping industry a little bit of a damper for you, or?
Yeah, it's been tough. Our factory, we've been with the same factory since day one, and I communicate with them 5 to 6 days a week. So we have, even if there isn't a project on deck, we'll just still talk. And they gave me a pretty good insight of what they saw was going to happen with shipping. So we started preparing for it earlier this year, but I didn't expect to see the amount of congestion that's happening. So we just had to reroute one of our containers. Instead of coming into California, we're bringing it into the East Coast, and it's going to take a little longer. Fortunately, we left some product at the factory, and we're flying that over here ahead of the container. So it's just trying to find a balance. You know, you do whatever you can to make it work.
Yeah. And unfortunately, like that's kind of the thing right now, no matter what you're into. Yeah. That just means that you have to order in advance, right?
Yeah. And on our end, we're getting better about increasing production size. You know, the longer that I see this consistency and the brand growth, it gives me more confidence to double production orders or do whatever we have to do to try to maintain as much stock as possible. I always said I want boxes on the shelves. I just don't ever want to see dust on any of those boxes that they've been sitting here. So it's that juggling act of how much do you want to have and how fast can you move it. because we want to see people out on the water using this stuff.
Right. Yeah. That's like huge key for a business owner and, operator of it's, you want stuff to go out the door. But you gotta judge too, this balance. And yeah. But does he ever give you any sleepless nights?
Well, yeah, I think so. For me, and I'm not even the one handling the production side of the business, but it's a lot to think about. Especially as fast as we're growing. I mean, this year's been awesome, but just talking to so many people daily, and just I still feel like we're small enough to where we have a community we're building with our pro staff's helping to do that, but on both sides, the lighting side and the fishing side. Our batteries. It's cool to see build a little community first and keep it that way, and don't ever lose sight of that, because that's when you start losing sight of customer service and what are you actually doing this for? Don't ever lose that passion. So, and I don't think he ever will. I mean, he's constantly, like you said, his whiteboard he's always putting together new projects.
Yeah, I'm trying not to blow things up or burn anything down, but I'm making things all the time.
I love it. That's awesome. I think that you said it right there is definitely for especially anyone in this industry. Outdoorsy stuff really did kind of go more on the heightened end, everyone wanting to get out. But as far as people like us, I'm, kind of being leaders within it, is to stay with the community and, be supportive of one another as well. Yeah.
You see that even in the manufacturers and the other friends that we have that are in the business, and how everybody is sharing knowledge about whether it's handling overseas logistics or finding other solutions or what's working for you and your business, that even though we could be a competitor in some ways, it's small enough, and the fact that we all love being outdoors that's what makes it pretty awesome. Especially go to shows like you described, Surf Expo. You get so much, so many different styles of pieces of equipment there.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I've heard it because now going into, the mid 40s of podcast episodes, it's across the board, no matter if they're a teacher or have some sort of brand, sup apparel, whatever. It's across the board, the same message, maybe worded differently, but definitely the vibe is there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Love it. You guys did awesome. I loved having you on the show. You guys have another inspirational message or a word to end on? I put you on the spot now.
I feel, well, thank you very much for having us. Things like this, getting this opportunity is part of what we love, why we love doing this. Get to meet someone new and your audience. And it keeps me busy. I'm going to head right back into the research and development department and keep working on our 2022 projects, and it inspires me. So I hope that does the same, and for others, and everybody needs to remember to pick up trash when they're out there.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah, Misty, thank you so much for having us on. This has been awesome, and I loved connecting, and I hope that moving forward, when your season picks up, whatever we can do to help you out on your end, whether it's getting more lights or, hey, if we might even send you some more lights to do some, I know I've seen some of your videos and tutorials, and, just building our sup side, I think too, would be awesome, because, balancing out our brand a little bit, but,
definitely.
We'd love to do some things together in the future.
Yeah, I'd love that. That'd be awesome. Yeah. And it's good meeting you, like beyond the emails here. So
yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, beyond Instagram, I feel like everybody just kind of lives vicariously through Instagram, and it's cool to finally see and hear, and makes it more real life, and like, okay, I talked to Misty.
So. This is the step before it is actual real life.
Right? Yeah.
That's awesome.
So nice to meet you, and we hope to talk soon and connect.
You got it. Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.